Nervous tissue. The way that you guys learn this is relatively simple. It's really only one slide. All nervous tissue doesn't look like this, but it'll get you started thinking about nervous tissue. So what does nervous tissue do? It does basically information in, which is sensation, information processed, which primarily happens in the brain and the spinal cord. That's sometimes called integration. And then information out, which is the response. So if I put my hand on a hot stove, in order to respond to that situation, I need to sense it, assess it, and then stimulate the muscle to move it. That is all functions of nervous tissue. Of course, the nervous tissue doesn't do the moving, right? The muscular tissue does the moving, but sensation, integration, and then controlling the response of a muscle or gland, those are all characteristics of nervous tissue functions. Where do you find most nervous tissue? Primarily in the brain and the spinal cord, although of course you have wiring nerves going to and from sensory organs and to and from muscles and or other organs as well. Okay, so when you're looking at nervous tissue, primarily one of the easiest ways to recognize it, at least with the slides that you're looking at, is that you have really big starburst shaped cells. Those are called neurons, and you're seeing neurons right here. You can see it here. Here's a big neuron. And then you have other cells which are much, much smaller and much more numerous. Those are either called neuroglia, as in nerve glue, glia means glue, or sometimes just glia. So the terminology of those, neuroglia is multiple neuroglial cells. Neuroglial cells is another way to say it. Glia or glial cells is also fine. So we named those when we thought that they were basically just space fillers for the superstars, which are the neurons. So when you look at neuron anatomy, you basically have this big starburst shaped cell. And so they've got it stained that way. Here's another one. Do you see this big cell right here? And as far as the parts of the cell, this portion right here is called the soma or cell body, okay? And it has processes sticking off of it. The processes that are shorter and more numerous, like for instance, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and this one, those are called dendrites, and their purpose is to carry information toward the cell body. They have a whole bunch of cell membrane receptors on them generally, and they can respond to stimuli from other cells. So those are called dendrites, and they're information in. And then there is going to be one, what we call an axon, and let's say it's this one. Axon carries information away from the cell body. So with this particular cell, information would be going from here to here. It would be going that direction. So there can be more than one dendrite, but there won't be more than one axon. Other things that you can look at. Generally speaking, neurons, if they're stained so that you can see them really well, will have what we call an owl eye nucleus, in which it kind of looks like it's got white around and then a dark nucleolus. And this one's got it too, lighter and then a darker nucleolus. And that's characteristic of neurons. You won't see it on every single one, but it's characteristics of neurons. The axon will, if you've got a good picture of it, this is where myelin comes in. So this axon that you're seeing right here, all of these are dendrites, all of them. And you've got your nucleus and your nucleolus. All of these are dendrites. This is the axon, and the axon has this fatty covering called myelin, which insulates and speeds transmission. So in this cell right here, the information is going in this side and out that side. The myelination speeds up transmission in the axon really, really dramatically. And then you have these branches at the end as well, which we'll talk about in another set of notes. There are some other portions that you can see here that are labeled in your textbook. There are portions that are myelinated and portions that aren't. You don't have to label all of them right now, but you can, because you'll have to do it later this semester anyway. So The axon is the star of the show because it does all of the electrical transmission that you've always learned that your brain, your spinal cord do. It releases neurotransmitters. It allows neurons to communicate really quickly with one another. Here's a cartoon of an axon. It has electrical transmission that goes about 250 miles an hour down the axon, and that's the whole neuron. Okay, so what about these other guys? What about all of these glial or neuroglial cells? There's a bunch of different kinds, 6, I think, of glial cells. You don't have to identify all 6 right now. We'll do that when we get to the nervous system specifically. But they used to think that they were just supporting cells for the neuron, that they just like took out the trash and made sure they got the right amount of food and all that kind of stuff. We were very wrong. They are so numerous. They're tiny, but they're so numerous that they make up about half of the brain volume. They also are responsible for myelinating. So the myelination that you see right here making it kind of look like sausage links. What is doing that is specific kinds of glial or neuroglial cells. They also do phagocytosis of bacteria, if any bacteria ever get into the central nervous system. They also nourish the neurons. They feed them what they need when they need it. And we've figured out that what turns out, what looks like neuron disorders in which the neuron is not functioning properly, quite often originate as glial disorders because the neuron becomes so dependent on the glial cell that it really doesn't know how to protect itself or take care of itself. And so when your glial cells start to go bad, then the neurons that they're supporting start to lose their functionality. And we've figured out that that is the culprit in things like Parkinson's disease and multiple sclerosis, which we'll talk about later this semester. So for right now, you have to be able to identify the basic parts of the neuron, especially the parts that are in this figure. And you have to be able to identify the little smaller than neuron cells around it as glial or neuroglial cells. In lab, we have this model that's basically, here's the axon. This one would go on to there. You can see the myelination, and they've got the whole thing put together here. Okay, now the slides don't always look this perfect. Sometimes the slides look more like this. Hold on. Sometimes the slides look more like this. So how the heck would you tell that that is nervous tissue? Well, notice that this cell has an alloy nucleus, so that's kind of nice. In addition, great big cells, not very numerous, really, really numerous small cells. Okay, so that's nervous tissue.